We do have some breaking news on ABC News Live. We're taking you live here to Capitol Hill, where the House is voting on a Republican-led resolution to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. GOP lawmakers have accused the DHS chief of failing to comply with the law and breaching public trust over his handling of the crisis at the border. And at this point, you can see the nay votes there on your screen at 4, so this is on track to fail. I do want to bring in our ABC News' Jay O'Brien, though, because, Jay, this has been nothing short of dramatic. As you and I have watched this play out, we watched that number change from 3 to 4. We watched it go back to 3, though, at one point. And now they're starting to call it. Let's listen.
They're calling the vote, yeah.
16. The resolution is not adopted.
It just failed.
The resolution is not adopted. There he is, your new House Speaker, Mike Johnson, with the gavel. Gavelled it in.
For what
this
purpose does the gentleman from Utah
passed.
seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I have a motion at the desk.
The clerk will report the motion.
Mr. Moore of Utah moves to reconsider the vote on adoption of House Resolution 863.
The question is on the motion to reconsider. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Utah.
They got it. Mr. Speaker, I request the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and the nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question are postponed. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the vote on the motion to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 7217, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title.
H.R. 7217, a bill making emergency supplemental appropriations to respond to the attacks in Israel for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024, and for other purposes.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill?
All right, so we're going to bring in Jay O'Brien here for more on how dramatic this was, coming down to just the last minute here. So, Jay, what can you tell us about how they got to those 4 no votes?
Well, first, Kenny, this is not over. So they just did a motion to reconsider.
Perhaps reconsider?
That vote failed. The initial vote to impeach Mayorkas failed. There were 3 Republican no votes, and there was a last-minute Democratic absence, Al Green of Texas, who showed up at the final minutes of that vote, cast a vote against impeaching Mayorkas. That means that the current legislative math, those 3 Republican no votes that there were at the end of that vote, tanked the Mayorkas impeachment vote. They added a 4th Republican no vote that legislatively now allows them to reconsider this resolution. And so what you saw just play out is the House taking another whack at this. The Mayorkas impeachment vote failed on the first try. They're going to take a second try now and see if they can whittle down what looks to me like just 3 Republican holdout votes, despite the fact that you saw 4 at the end. It's looking to me like there are 3 firm Republican no votes. They're going to try now to flip those no's into yeses on a second go-around, Kana. In terms of history, this is historic. You have not had a cabinet secretary impeached since the 1870s, since the administration of Ulysses S. Grant. But in terms of high drama, this is about as high as drama gets on Capitol Hill. A last-minute absence showing up, a second time around, motion to reconsider. It doesn't happen like this every day.
No, it certainly doesn't. And listening to you, you were able to describe it to us just how dramatic this really was. And again, pointing out that we saw 3 no votes, and then we saw 4, then it switched back to 3, ended up at 4, and now clearly there's some bargaining going on here. So, Jay, are we talking about McClintock, Buck, and Mike Gallagher here? Are these the 3 holdouts? And who could be swayed one way or the other? We know Mike Gallagher, right, had an earlier meeting with Speaker Johnson today?
Yeah, that's correct. And of the 3, McClintock and Buck, those 2 are together pretty much in lockstep on opposing this resolution. They believe that it's unconstitutional. They believe that Mayorkas is being impeached for a policy disagreement rather than high crimes and misdemeanors. When it comes to Mike Gallagher, you have to think that he is the one that leadership is perhaps targeting to flip the most, because he's a high-profile member of the House Republican Conference. He's a committee chair of the China Committee, which means he's part of that upper echelon of Republican leadership. So you've got to think he's the one one that they can flip. I can even tell you, I talked to Ken Buck earlier in the day. I said, have you heard from Speaker Johnson? Is he leaning on you? He said, no, I haven't heard from Speaker Johnson at all. But Mike Gallagher has heard from Speaker Johnson. You and I were on the air when he walked into Mike Johnson's office down the hall from me here. One more point, though, just to be clear, what they are voting on now, as I get a little closer to my screen because I don't have my glasses on, is the motion on the Israel funding package, the standalone Israel funding package that Mike Johnson had proposed as an end run around that larger border security bill that would fund Israel and Ukraine and provide immigration reform. Johnson didn't like that bill, so he's doing his own Israel funding bill. That's what they're voting on now. It stands to reason, and again, this is all kind of up in the air, welcome to Congress, but it stands to reason, as I understand it, that after this vote, the one you're seeing on your screen, is when the second go-around of the Mayorkas impeachment vote will occur.
All right, so there's a little time for deals to be made, for decisions to be changed. And on this bill that they're voting on now, that Jay's talking about, it's $17.6 billion standalone bill to provide aid to Israel. And so that's what they're voting on now. We'll continue to watch that as well as we also wait for this second round of voting to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas. And Jay, I know that you're working your sources and you're hearing from anybody,
I am.
but
Forgive me for looking down.
No, I appreciate it. So, but
I'm
essentially,
leadership sources.
All eyes have to be on Mike Gallagher at this point, right?
Yeah, all eyes are on Mike Gallagher, and I mean, I think he's kind of the open vote. He's the one that switches at the last minute. Again, additionally, all eyes are on Speaker Mike Johnson here because, forgive me, I'm just asking if we're going to do another vote tonight or not. Oh, hold on, Ken Buck is here coming to Will Rogers. Let's see if he comes our way.
Let's see if we can grab Ken Buck.
He might be getting into CNN really quickly. Hold on. Congressman Buck, can we, while we wait, can we have you down here? Do you mind? Here, Congressman Buck, you want to come down here for 1 second here? So first, I just had, I know, but now you got two. So we spoke earlier. So I just first translate for me what's going on a little bit because we're getting some kind of text coming in from the floor. There was a motion to reconsider. Obviously, the first motion on Mayorkas failed.
What happened first is the Speaker changed his vote to no. And then it wasn't a tie anymore. The measure failed. So then then there's a motion to reconsider. He found that the yeas were in favor of the motion to reconsider. He's postponing that till tomorrow. Steve Scalise is supposed to show up tomorrow morning, and that will give the yeas the one vote majority. Excuse me, on this measure.
So just to translate here, Kana, forgive me for holding you while I talk to my anchor, Kana, here in Los Angeles, but what he's saying is that motion to reconsider, it doesn't tee up, as we had thought, another vote on the Mayorkas impeachment tonight. Instead, it kicks it into tomorrow, where they will have Steve Scalise, that one extra vote, and be able to offset, for instance, your no vote on impeaching Mayorkas. You and I have talked about this over the last few weeks, but just once more for our audience here. Can you describe to me why you are a no on impeaching Mayorkas and exactly what you believe constitutionally it doesn't measure up, if you will?
Sure. Mayorkas has not committed a high crime or misdemeanor. There is a policy difference. He is not instituting the Remain in Mexico policy that President Trump had. He's not instituting the agreements with Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador. He's not doing a lot of the things, finishing the wall, that would help alleviate the crisis, but those are policy differences, not a crime or something akin to a crime.
Obviously, that puts you in the minority of the House Republican Conference. Everybody else, except for the three of you, voted to impeach Mayorkas. Did you feel on the floor that you were getting pressure at all from any of your colleagues or in leadership?
No.
Not at all? No. Why do you think that is? Have others been getting pressure?
Because they know I'm stubborn, and they know I'm going to vote the way I say I'm going to vote.
One more thing for you, Congressman. We talked about precedent before, and your concern that this would set a dangerous precedent for future cabinet secretaries. Is that a concern you still have, and can you a little bit elaborate on that for me?
Sure. The problem with doing this is the same problem that the Democrats had when they impeached Trump the first time. A lot of Democrats didn't want that vote. They voted for it. This is a similar situation. You're lowering the bar on impeachment every single time. And impeachment is supposed to be a very, very last resort type of remedy. not something that is used every Congress.
Are you concerned that this is a purely political vote and the American people are watching politics play out here in an important constitutional process like impeachment?
Well, this is a purely political body. That's what Congress is, and they are acting in a political way, and I think in a way that's detrimental to future Republican presidents and administrations.
Congressman Ken Buck, thank you for coming here last minute as you wait for another TV appearance. I appreciate it, sir. That is the frenetic pace of Congress, Kana. Kana, is there anything that you have for me or Congressman Buck before I let him go?
No, Jay, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys explaining that all for us. Thank you, Congressman Buck. Thank you for your time. I know he's running off to another interview there. So, Jay, explain it to us real quickly there, that last-minute vote flip that then allowed them to make sure that they could vote on this yet again tomorrow.
Yeah, so what it is, as Congressman Buck just explained, the Speaker changed his vote to no. That means that he can call, or Republicans rather, can call to do this again. There's a certain threshold you need to be, and frankly, the legislativeness of it is something that I'm still trying to download here. But the reality here is twofold. A, this is all a factor of Republicans' slim majority in the House of Representatives. Usually 4 no votes on something, or in this case 3, are not enough to tank a piece of legislation. But Republicans have such a slim majority in the House that Steve Scalise's absence, A, and also B, just their natural slim majority, Kevin McCarthy's exit from Congress, George Santos's ouster from Congress, et cetera, make any few handful of votes perilous for a piece of legislation. That's the first thing. And the second thing is the drama at which this played out tonight, as you and I had discussed. Al Green, for those who might just be tuning in by this legislative drama, Al Green, Democrat of Congress, coming in at the last minute, an absent vote, which meant that the 3 Republicans, Ken Buck included, standing together would have still meant that this passed. But then Al Green comes in at the last minute, changes the legislative calculus of all of this, and Mike Gallagher holds firm amid pressure from House Republican leadership.
Right, and so again, the Speaker sort of flipping his vote in an effort to keep this alive so that they can vote again tomorrow when Steve Scalise will be present. So we will watch this play out yet again tomorrow. Jay, thank you so much. And I also want to bring in our ABC News legal analyst and University of Baltimore Law School professor, Kim Wehle. Kim, thank you so much for being here. And you just heard Jay talking with Ken Buck there. One of the no votes, we knew that he was going to vote no. And one of the issues that he brings is an issue that we keep hearing, that not only will this set a bad precedent in terms of impeaching people in the future, but also it's the conversation about incompetence versus criminal act, right? And is that really what Alejandro Mayorkas did?
No, I mean, I think actually the horse is out of the barn in terms of impeachment sort of becoming a political football. The standard under the Constitution is high crimes, misdemeanor, bribery. This is really a question of enforcement discretion. Presidents under Article 2 of the Constitution get the executive power. They're like the top police officer for the national government, and Mayorkas, like everyone in any president's cabinet, are essentially subordinates to that top executive. The complaint here is they don't like how he's doing his job within the chain of command to the president. Meanwhile, the House Speaker has refused to take up serious border legislation by Congress. So the whole thing is kind of farcical and become all about politics. And unfortunately, what hangs in the balance are the American people who want to see something done on immigration, as well as the thousands and thousands of migrants that are kind of left sort of hanging until something gets done on a national level, and there's just not an incentive to do it.
And we want to check back in here with Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill. So, Jay, as we preview this vote yet again tomorrow, what do we expect again from Republicans? Do we expect 3 no votes, Gallagher, Buck, and McClintock, and then Steve Scalise comes in with a yes?
Theoretically, if one of those votes doesn't change overnight, you can expect 3 no votes tomorrow. But to your point, if Steve Scalise comes, it'll change the legislative calculus, and it will mean that this will narrowly pass. It will pass, but it will narrowly pass. It would be historic. It would make Mayorkas only the 2nd cabinet secretary in American history to be impeached, and then it would trigger an impeachment trial in the Senate, Kana.
All right, high drama playing out there on Capitol Hill. Jay O'Brien and Kim, our thanks to both of you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.